Hi everyone, my name is Puneet. I'm part of Informatica GSys team. In this session, we are going to learn what is SQL ELT and how to run SQL ELT mappings. Agenda, we are going to know what is the mapping ELTs and the license required for mapping ELT, and then the supported source and targets for the SQL ELT, and how to create a SQL ELT mappings, and some of the native Snowflake functions which are supported currently, the multi-target supports which are present on the Snowflake ELT, and the data preview, and the managed and unmanaged iceberg tables which are supported in the Snowflake ELT, and the queries tagging at the MCT level, and a demo. So now to know what is SQL ELT, creating a mapping in a SQL ELT mode when your source and targets are the same cloud ecosystems. And if you want all of the mapping logics to be processed on the same cloud ecosystems, for example, you need to move your data from a Gen 2 to a Snowflake cloud data warehouse, and you want all the data to process within the Snowflake ecosystems, right? So in such cases, when you run a SQL ELT mapping mode, the mappings in the SQL ELT, the transformation logics is like translated into an ecosystems command and the SQL ELT statements, and that run inside the underlying cloud infrastructures. Here, because the data is not moved out of the cloud infrastructures, the overall processing would be more faster compared to the normal mappings. And to do this, you should have a SQL ELT native custom license. And these designs are different than the regular mapping design. So whenever you go to new mappings, you would be able to see two different designs. One is mapping and one is mapping SQL ELT. So here, as I was mentioning, this is the license that is SQL ELT native. This is the custom license. Ensure that your org has this license. If not, raise a shipping request and get this license added to your org. And as I mentioned, currently the SQL ELT supported only for the Snowflake. In the coming release, we do have Delta supported. As part of this Snowflake SQL ELT, these are the supported sources, that is Snowflake V2 and Amazon S3 and ADLS Gen 2, but the target has to be always Snowflake. The main use of the Snowflake SQL ELT is that like it has a restricted source and targets in the advanced properties, and restricted list of transformations, and the restricted advanced properties on the transformation level, also the ecosystem specified native functions. So that means you can even do the same transformations or SQL ELT or the SQL optimizations even in the regular mapping, but whereas if you switch to SQL ELT, only the specific transformations are the functions which are supported on this Snowflake. Only those transformations are the functions will be displayed on the template, on the design templates. So we do support multiple native functions for the Snowflake, that is numeric functions are like additional Snowflake native string and binary functions, and the data generations and encryption functions. So as you can see a screenshot here, all these transformations are the functions what is showing here, like all these are supported only in the Snowflake, and these are the Snowflake native functions. And it also helps you to create a multiple targets in a ELT mode, whereas the target names would be picked from the Informatica side. It will be always a target 2, 3, 4, and target n, and you cannot change those target names as like you change in the mapping, normal mappings. You can also do a data preview. If you click on this data preview options, you get an option to select the runtime, and if you see, click on preview, and then it will generate a query, and it is just like a mapping. It generates a mapping, and then you would be able to see a output of particular source target. As you can see in the screen, so it is currently generating a preview which will be creating a new job for it, and once this job is completed, so you would be able to see the end results. That would be your source data preview. So you would be getting a message saying that data preview has finished successfully, and yeah, you would be able to see this uh, message. And then if you go to the monitoring page and the jobs, you would be able to see there is a job got created, that's it got created and submitted these jobs. right? And you would also get a generate SQL query options, and you can generate a SQL query, and then you will get a query, and these queries you can take and you can just execute it directly on the Snowflake side for debugging. We do support managed iceberg tables for both read and write, and also unmanaged tables, iceberg tables for both read and write. So here, create a table with AWS Glue as a catalog, and then you can create a table from the iceberg files and object storage. Links are provided here. Query tagging at mapping level, that is MCT level, you can also override a query tag parameter that is already defined in the Snowflake connection in the mapping task level. And this is applicable at only runtime, and this feature is not supported on the advanced mode for now. And we're going to see the demo how we can create a mapping, and then how a mapping SQL ELT, and then how to see those logs on the Snowflake side. Yeah. So in the when you log into IAC's administrator page, if you go to administrator licensing, and you would be able to see under the custom license, the license has to be a SQL ELT native, and if this license is not enabled, reach out to Informatica shipping team and get this license added. And soon you have added this license. If you go to data integrations and click on new, and if you go to the new mappings, say suppose if I close this and if I go to a new mapping, you would be able to see the two options. One is mapping and one is SQL ELT. So when I click on this mapping, click on new, and then go to the mapping designs and click on mapping. And if you click on create, so if the license is already enabled, then you would be getting a two wizard. One is mapping creation wizard, and the other one is a mapping SQL ELT. To make use of this mapping SQL ELT, then you should click on this mapping SQL ELT and then click on continue. So soon you click on continue. As I mentioned, currently we have Snowflake, which is a production ready, and then upcoming we have a Databricks, and then like we have a BigQuery, and then Amazon District. Currently in the R45, that is in the May 2024 major release, we support only the Snowflake, and click on select this object, and here you get an option to select the connection, that is Snowflake. In the administrator page, if you go to the connections, you would be getting an option called Snowflake Data Cloud, and you can go ahead and create a Snowflake connector, and you can do a test connection to verify if the connectivity works. So soon you have the connectivity created and it is successfully connected, then you can go to data integrations and select the target, that is your Snowflake. So, this is the target connections. Like this cannot be changed once this mapping SQL ELT is created, but you would be able to change the source at any time. And soon you have selected these target connections, and on this particular Snowflake ELT or the Snowflake connection, so your mapping logic the mapping logic is going to be kind of executed on the same EL, on this particular Snowflake. So click on next, and then like you go here, and then like you get an option to select the source. As I mentioned, currently the source is supported as only S3, Gen 2, and Snowflake. So as I was mentioning, Snowflake ELT, that is mapping SQL ELT, is something generic where it will not display any other connectors which are not supported. So currently it displays only the supported combination, that is S3, Gen 2, and or like Snowflake. And I was mentioning target cannot be changed. Target is tightly coupled. Now this cannot be changed. So it will be always the one which you have selected in the beginning. So here you get an option of selecting the object. Like you can select the Snowflake object, and then like you can select the tables which you want to write the data. And on the source, you get an option of selecting S3 or Gen 2 or a Snowflake. Currently, I've created a mapping which reads from a Snowflake to a Snowflake, and as you can see here, there's no get an option of run button to run the mapping, because you cannot directly run the mapping SQL ELT from the mapping design wizard. Like for that, like you need to create a mapping task. So if you go here, there's a three dots. Like you can click on this, and then creates a gives you an option of like creating a mapping task. You can just go ahead and create a mapping task, and then like you can run a mapping from the mapping task. So you get an option to select the runtime. Just select the runtime in which you want to run your Snowflake ELT, and this is the mapping, the Snowflake SQL ELT mapping which you have created, and this is your source and target. So go to the runtime options. If you don't have any other settings to be done, then you just click on next, and then like you can select the mapping. Currently, I have executed a mapping. This is the mapping which I just started, and if you If you open this mapping, this is the Snowflake ELT mapping task. This contains a Snowflake, and I could see that like I have read a record around 3 lakhs records and written to a target which took only some 2 minutes. And now how do we verify? This is returned to a Snowflake that like you can go to Snowflake and then you can browse for monitor and the queries tree, and then you can verify the job which is triggered by Informatica. So you don't have any option of identifying it uh, via job ID or something. Only way of identifying is via queries. Say suppose if you go here and like you can see this is the query which is selected and which is submitted from Informatica. If you want to verify if this is the same query is generated and executed, then you can go back to the monitoring page and then you can download the session log. And like if you open the session log, you would be able to see the specific query. Say suppose in my case, I've just downloaded the one which I recently ran it, and then if you go here and then you can verify if it is of same table. So you currently the queries will not be displayed until unless you submit it in the workforce init log. But yeah, however, you can see what is the schema and like what is the table from where it is reading it. It is reading from the customer, and then like if you go back to the Snowflake, if you go back to the query editors, and then you can see it should be, yeah, this is the one customer party one. This is what like I'm just going to read it. So this is the query which is taken and executed successfully, and it took around only 30 minutes, 30 seconds to complete it on the Snowflake side. Yeah, this is about the demo. Uh, Let me know if you have any other queries. I would like to hear from you. Please write us to supportvideos@informatica.com, and also you can follow us on twitter.com/infosupport. Thank you.